In this video, I'm going to explain how proximity effects work in Townstar. Proximity effects are one of the elements you will have to balance in this game in order to run a successful town. There are negative proximity effects and positive proximity effects. Some proximity effects can be positive to some objects but negative to others. They also have different proximity levels, with higher levels having a greater area of effect and a greater effect nearby. Before I go over all the common proximity effects, it's best I go over proximity levels first. Proximity levels usually range from level 1 to level 4, but can go even higher than that. A proximity level of 1 means it will only affect the surrounding tiles by 1. A proximity level of 2 will affect surrounding tiles by 2, and then horizontal and vertical adjacent tiles from there are affected by 1. A proximity level of 3 will affect surrounding tiles by 3, and then horizontal and vertical adjacent tiles from there are affected by 2, and then horizontal and vertical adjacent tiles from there are affected by 1. A proximity level of 4 will affect surrounding tiles by 4, and then follow the same rules as previous levels, spreading out farther every time. The same rules apply for anything above proximity level 4. I will now go over all the common proximity effects in the game and what types of objects they have an effect on. Shade is strictly a negative proximity effect. Shade is cast by most buildings. Here are some examples of some of the buildings that cast shade. Shade will slow down the craft times of most crops, such as wheat, sugarcane, cotton, pumpkin patches, all kinds of tree farms, and all kinds of grapes. And it'll also slow down the craft times of wind-reliant buildings such as windmills, wind turbines, and wind pumps. Pollution, also called dirty, is strictly a negative proximity effect. Pollution is cast by some buildings with high tier crafts, as well as the trade depot, trade pier, freight pier, and fuel storage. Pollution will slow down the craft time of all crops, of all livestock, and of some objects such as the well and the water pump. Salty is a negative proximity effect to all crops, but a positive proximity effect to salt fields and sand mines. An adjacent ocean biome edge is the only source of the salty proximity effect for your town. If you want salt fields to have faster craft times, you definitely need to put them on the tile directly next to an ocean biome edge. Sand might not be classified as an official proximity effect in the game, but I consider it one. You see, when a sand mine is placed on a desert biome, or on the edge of a desert biome, the sand mine will have a faster craft time. If it does not have either this sand proximity effect or the salty proximity effect provided to it, then the sand mine will have slow craft times. Passive water is a positive proximity effect for objects that require water, but is actually a negative proximity effect for mines. Passive water is most commonly gotten from ponds, which supply up to 2 passive water to surrounding objects. The marsh found in forest biomes supply 1 passive water to surrounding objects. And an adjacent river biome edge can supply up to 5 passive water. With passive water, you can make it to where crops or certain objects such as water facilities have no need to have water fetched from wells and brought to them. So passive water can be very efficient. However, passive water will slow down the craft time of mines. Passive energy is a positive proximity effect for objects that require energy. Power plants supply up to 3 passive energy, and nuclear power supply up to 4 passive energy. Passive water drum is a positive proximity effect for objects that require water drums. Water pumps supply one passive water drum. Most commonly used when paired with refineries, lumber yards, and steel mills. Water pumps are also a requirement to build and operate power plants, nuclear power, and steel mills. Passive crude oil is a positive proximity effect for objects that require crude oil. Oil seep, which is a unique object in the desert, supply up to 4 passive crude oil, most commonly used when paired with refineries that craft petroleum and power plants that craft energy, without ever needing to build oil pumps. There are many other passive proximity effects such as passive wheat, passive sugarcane, and even passive iron, but these effects are only available through placed NFT objects. They work the same as the passive water, energy, water drum, and crude oil proximity effects that I just explained. If you want to find out exactly which proximity effects and how much proximity levels an object outputs, check out the resource I created called the Town Star Playbook, where you'll be able to find all this information. I'll leave the link to the Town Star Playbook in the description. That is all the information I have on proximity effects in Townstar. I hope this information was able to help you. Feel free to like the video and leave a comment with your feedback. Subscribe if you're interested in seeing future content I create. Thank you for watching.